everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to go over the turmoil, the recent controversy, the recent case between the two lovely people behind us, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Kind of been wanting to discuss this since it started heating up again. It's just real juicy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, two clearly troubled people, I would say.
I think we're learning one more than the other, though.
So I'm going to go through, kind of the timeline of events and everything that's, I guess, kind of led up to this and try and touch on as much as possible. So I'm going to just hop right into this timeline and let's just we'll go through it and discuss back and forth a little bit. So 2012, they start dating. Apparently they met on the set of The Rum Diaries, or The Rum Diary. I've never seen that movie. I don't know if you have.
No.
2 years later, March 2014, they get engaged. February 2015, they get married. May 2016, 15 months later, Amber Heard files for divorce. The divorce cites irreconcilable differences, and this is where the original allegations of domestic abuse against Johnny Depp come from. She says he screamed, hit, and grabbed me. During the entirety of our relationship, Johnny has been verbally and physically abusive to me, and she says she lived in fear.
For her life, yep.
Yeah, so that's where we start. That's the foundation of all of this, but it definitely evolves. So later, I couldn't find exactly if it was later in May or right around the same time as May of 2016. So right around the same time as she files for divorce, the police responded to a domestic incident radio call at their place of residence, found no evidence of a crime was committed, found no evidence of domestic violence or anything like that. So, that could be a couple of things, like maybe the evidence just wasn't there, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was covered up one way or another.
It usually is when big name celebrities, because usually for domestic cases, someone always has to go to jail. Like if it was just me or you with our girls, even if nothing happened and a call was made, the police would not just leave us alone. Someone's going to jail, because I think so many times in the past, the cops have left thinking, all right, it was nothing, and then something really bad happened. And if the cops would have just said, one of you has to come with us, and then even if nothing happened or whatever, we'll figure it out in the morning. That way it just covers everyone's ass. But with the big names, they tend to not do that, because then it's just the news gets a hold of it and then it just spirals.
Yeah, it's kind of like the idea that if you make that one mistake, the ramifications could be a lot bigger, or there's just a lot more money involved, or there's other illegal activities involved that I don't know, just makes it too big of an ordeal. So all of that could be entirely possible, but it is worth noting that was a call that occurred. So moving on, so the divorce was filed in May 2016. August 2016, 3 months later, the divorce is settled. The joint statement says something to the effect of, our relationship was intensely passionate and at times volatile, but always bound by love. Neither party has made false accusations for financial gain. There was never any intent of physical or emotional harm. So this is something they've both agreed on, which, or at least signed to, or whatever the case is, which I think we'll find is just total bullshit. Maybe it was bound by love. I don't know. I don't love that way, but I think there was never any intent of physical or emotional harm. We'll see. Notably, from this divorce settlement, Amber Heard pledged to donate the $7 million she got from Depp to the American Civil Liberties Union and the Children's Hospital Los Angeles. That'll come up a little later in the timeline. January 2017 is when the divorce is actually official, and there are statements from both parties' lawyers, notable that it's the lawyers, not them themselves, stating that they are each happy essentially to have this part of their lives behind them. So now we move on to a post-divorce world. About 6 months later, June 2018, Johnny Depp sues over the Sun article titled "Gone Potty: How Can J.K. Rowling Be Genuinely Happy Casting Wife-Beater Johnny Depp in the New Fantastic Beasts film?" So this was a huge point of contention, as we'll see. The Johnny Depp sues over that Sun article. December 2018, Amber publishes an op-ed in the Washington Post, speaks, essentially speaking up against domestic violence, says, "Then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out." So clearly referring to her divorce with Johnny Depp, but Depp is not actually mentioned anywhere in there by name. But clearly, I mean, 2 years ago, public figure, I mean, it's pretty clear what's being referenced there. What's interesting to note is, she says here she became a public figure. I haven't actually read the op-ed in its entirety. And I'm not sure if she actually says, like, this is what actually happened, this is what was done, or if it's more along the lines of just this, I became a public figure because of this, and now here let me speak on domestic violence in general. So that is kind of an important distinction when it comes to, libel or defamation or whatever. So March 2019, 3 months later, Johnny Depp sues Amber Heard. He sues her because of the op-ed, claiming the central premise is that she was a victim of his domestic abuse. He's suing for $50 million. I think the dollar amount is relevant here for a couple of reasons. The main one having to do with her countersuit. So July 2020, at this point, this is a year and 4 months later, so 16 months later, Depp's lawsuit against The Sun goes to trial. So at this point, he's got 2 lawsuits, one against The Sun and one against Amber Heard. Those proceedings go through July. So I read through the article from The Sun.
Oh, yeah?
It's really interesting. Really, really interesting. So when I actually found the article, right, I read the title, "Gone Potty: How Can J.K. Rowling Be Genuinely Happy Casting Wife-Beater Johnny Depp in the New Fantastic Beasts film?" The title of the article no longer lists wife-beater. It removed that phrasing from the article. And when I read through the article, it's not really making allegations from what I could see. It's not actually making allegations saying anything that, hey, he definitely did this. It's more so condemning J.K. Rowling. It's more so condemning her for still supporting him despite all of the stuff that's gone on. I don't know if that article was heavily changed or not. I really don't. I'm not 100% certain. But it was really interesting to me that the title does not say wife beater anymore. Another month goes by, August 2020, Amber Heard now countersues. So the reason the $50 million was so interesting to me about Depp's case is mostly in relation to the fact that when Heard countersues, she claims Depp's running a smear campaign, continuing abuse and harassment, but she does it for $100 million. Instead of $50 million, now she's doing it for $100 million. Now, I don't know what the reasoning is behind the exact amounts that they're deciding to sue for, but I feel like just in the money amount, you can see the evidence of the pissing contest that just happened between them regularly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just the back and forth, I do this to you, you do that to me, blah, 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 blah. What you do is worse, what I do is worse, what they do is worse, blah, 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 yada, yada, right? He's like, I want 50 million. She's like, I want 100 million.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah, but okay. So I think his 50 million is way more valid than her even 100 or whatever, because he lost 2 major movies that I don't know.
At the time that he sued, that hadn't officially happened yet. So I don't know when in the background that might have happened. But
or if he knew behind the scenes that he was going to lose it or something. I don't know. And it wasn't public yet.
Maybe. What was the other film that he lost?
Well, the Fantastic Beasts, and Disney wouldn't bring him back. They were going to do another Jack Sparrow.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So those are two huge franchises. Like, I'm sure it would come close to 50 million for those two movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even more notably on the Fantastic Beasts films, he had a 5-movie contract, I believe it was. So he had a 5-movie contract that he would have filmed the 3rd movie of. So he lost 3 movies right there.
Yeah.
But let's continue along this timeline because we'll get to all of that. I'm almost done with this, and then we can kind of jump around a little bit. So November 2020, which is after Heard countersues, November 2020, Johnny Depp loses the case against The Sun. Depp loses. Judge states that The Sun basically proved what they wrote was true. And what's really interesting to me is, like I said, when I actually read the Sun article, you could say the article was true without necessarily saying that it was true that he beat Amber Heard. And again, I don't know, this is kind of a mystery to me. I don't know how heavily that article was changed after that lawsuit occurred, but it really doesn't seem like losing that case necessarily says a lot about this case as a whole and what actually happened between them. Because it just kind of seems like The Sun is like, hey, Me Too movement is strong and domestic abuse is wrong, and, you know, based on things that Amber Heard said, we think that, you know, he's wrong. You know, like, it doesn't make its own allegations. I think that's just something to note moving forward. And like I said, maybe the original was a little more direct in its attacks against Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Later in November 2020, Depp announces that he is no longer part of the Fantastic Beasts franchise. I believe he claimed he was asked to resign from them. I don't have the timeline on when he was removed from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. It's funny because I love those movies. I just, for whatever reason, that completely slipped my mind. I think Fantastic Beasts was more relevant to me by that time. So,
well, I don't think it was. Well, Fantastic Beasts, he was under contract, whereas this one was more of like there was talks with Disney about doing another Jack Sparrow type spinoff or something in regards to that, which then immediately just got shot down, you know?
Yeah, of course, there's no reason that's ever going to...
So it never made it to a contract, which made him officially lose it, but he could still claim that he lost it, you know?
Yeah, sure. Then let the court figure it out.
Yeah. I'm sure he could prove some sort of conversation where he could point to and say, hey, we were about, like, this was a green light, you know?
Yeah. So, all right, so Depp announces he's no longer part of the Fantastic Beasts franchise, claiming he was asked to resign. That was November of 2020. March 2021, Depp is denied permission to appeal case against The Sun. So, basically, not only did the judge in the original case rule in favor of The Sun, the additional judges who revealed the request for appeal basically backed up everything that he said and said it looks like all of the evidence that was reviewed thoroughly and a proper decision was made. So they denied his permission to appeal the case against The Sun. August 2021, a New York judge partially grants a petition from Depp to determine whether donations had been made by Amber Heard. This one's interesting to me because I remember an article coming out like not that long ago about, you know, the donations she was supposed to make from the divorce and that she hadn't actually made them or something. So it's not confirmed whether or not she made those donations. I don't really know how relevant it is to everything. I mean, it's a shitty thing to do, to pledge to donate $7 million and not do it, but it doesn't really seem like there's anything substantial saying one way or another that she did or didn't. And it's really unclear to me exactly what it means to say they partially grant a petition. So it doesn't, bit of a nothing sandwich, but just something to note that I think Depp is maybe trying to figure out, like, hey, did she actually make this donation to kind of speak to her character, if you will?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, what we all know now, 11th of April, 2022, Depp's defamation case against Amber Heard goes to trial. So that's essentially where we are right now, where we have the trial going on. We have these two, maybe crazy people, maybe not. I don't know exactly, going at it. And originally, I don't know if it was media spin or if it was my own misunderstanding, and maybe you can tell me what your thoughts were. But originally, I thought the actual case was Amber Heard against Johnny Depp. But then I realized it was just she made the first allegations, effectively, or the main allegations, up until he said, okay, this is defamation.
Which, her story started the lawsuits, but she didn't actually take it to court first or whatever. Yeah, she countersued him. I originally thought that too. I thought he was countersuing her, but really he started it as far as the lawsuits.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me the way that this timeline breaks down, because they were divorced in 2016 before almost 2 years later.
I know.
We're still talking about it. What's the motivation to do the op-ed if not to basically say, hey, there was domestic abuse, but then why
wait so long?
Why wait so long, and then why sign, the joint statement? Like, at that point, you're split from him, right? Why wait, or why make that statement that, hey, everything was done out of love, and then be like, oh, I was a victim of domestic abuse, and kind of double down on it, like a year and a half, 2 years later? It doesn't really make sense to me, unless it's like, oh, it's the fear and everything, but I don't know that I really understand the fear for somebody who can buy a bodyguard, who can buy 10 bodyguards,
Yeah, and so now I guess we can go on to a couple articles I want to go over real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
So, honestly, the only movie I ever saw of hers, I believe, is Aquaman, and that was a huge movie for her. And it's already come out that she's on for Aquaman too. So, and I'm sure she's going to make however many millions of dollars.
For sure. Yeah.
Whereas,
I wonder, like, what are her losses in all of this?
Not even close to his or anything.
I just don't know what they actually are. I mean, she got money out of the divorce.
Yeah.
She got money out of the divorce, and then has she lost a movie? I mean, none that I'm aware of.
No.
As far as like, she's in. I mean, don't get me wrong. DC is like fucking sixth fiddle to Marvel.
But this was one of their best they did, or
it's
one
huge.
of the highest grossing ones they did out of the DCU.
It's huge. She's been very active as far as I can tell. I mean, so I don't know what's really been lost that's worth $100 million. I mean, I can't fathom $100 million, but
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out, that he lost his biggest movie franchise that he's in, and possibly the Disney one. It wasn't official, but it's been stated that he lost it. And her only biggest movie franchise, and the director came out and said it was, it was the director, and then they also asked Jason Momoa, and they both said she stays. So so she's gonna keep that movie, and she'll make X amount of millions or whatever, being the co-star.
Yeah.
But I
wonder what that ends up actually doing to the success of the second Aquaman. I'll be honest, I haven't even watched the first.
Oh, it was good. It was probably one of my favorite DC movies. It was the complete opposite of all the DC movies are so dark, and it's always nighttime and whatever. But this one was actually colorful, bright, and the acting was really good. I never would have thought I'd be excited for Aquaman. Like, Aquaman was always like the lamest, you could just talk to fish and stuff, but Jason Momoa is a cool guy, and and he came from Game of Thrones, so everyone already knew him. Yeah, exactly. You're not going to talk shit to that Aquaman, but if you saw the Aquaman that was played like in the comics and
this short-haired blonde,
like pretty boy, he's not
shaven.
yeah. But then all of a sudden you look at Jason Momoa, you're like, holy shit, that's Aquaman. You know what I mean? So
yeah, look, I mean, if we're being honest, like, I mean, Jason Momoa's, he's up there. He'd get a yes from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I didn't know this, but Amber Heard was actually in a relationship with a woman, and she actually was arrested for domestic abuse in this relationship. So she has a history right here. Now, they didn't prosecute her, but still, it's on record.
Yeah, it's interesting. So two things. One is, you mentioned it before, right? If there's a call made, there should be someone arrested. Right.
Yeah.
So that is kind of one thing to note here, is that the call could have been made and then somebody's going to get arrested and taken away. So it could be the case that it was just her. She was the one that got taken away. But the other thing here is that she alleges basically a history of domestic abuse, and people who are privy to regular or who are privy to domestic abuse in general, earlier on in their life or in their life as a whole, are more likely to commit that domestic abuse against others, and are more likely to kind of fall into that cycle, if you will. So I think, at the very least, we can say that she's going to have abusive or violent tendencies to some extent,
Yeah, I'm just going off of Johnny Depp doesn't have a history of this. She does. And then it happens again. You know what I mean? So, and we're
I think
automatically blaming the guy when she's clearly done it before.
Yeah, well, I think, in all fairness, there is a history to be said about just outbursts and people mentioning like how he is to work with, but nothing like not being arrested for domestic abuse.
Yeah, I understand. Now we're learning, now that we've seen him take the stand, and we're starting to see his outbursts are more defensive and reaction. You know what I mean? And we can kind of, I want to, I think I have an idea of my overall thoughts. I realistically, I think what's happening here, we'll talk more about this, but realistically, I think what's happening here is she is physically abusive to some extent, possibly in part because, like I said, she has this history and this is a life she knows and this is a life she understands, and also because there is that element of when you're being abused, or when you are scared of something, or when somebody else is aggressive, right, but maybe not laying their hands on you. I think it is fair to say that as a woman, it's a little easier to get the mindset that it's okay to hit back a little bit, Like, I don't know if you've ever had this, but I was in a relationship. It wasn't a good relationship. Neither of us were really physically abusive towards each other by any means. But, had an argument one time, and I was loud, and I was aggressive, not like physically aggressive, but verbally aggressive. I was loud, and her reaction at a certain point was to push me backwards, right? Which I would never in a million years do to her or anyone else. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And but it's easier to not see that as a problem when it's aggression from 5'2", 150 pounds towards 6'2", 6'3", 300 plus pounds. You know what I mean? So I think it's definitely easier for that person to be like, oh, I barely did anything to you, because that is kind of a societal predisposition that you have, So I think what's happening overall is that Johnny Depp is aggressive. Like, he does aggressive things, and he does like unpredictable things, and he gets a little bit out of control. Is he actually beating her or hurting her? I don't necessarily think so. Is she getting physical with him, like actions actually towards his physical body? Yeah, I believe so. you know. But and I think they're both showing these like very similar tendencies towards aggression, but he's not doing it to her, and that's my kind of that's my take at the moment. Um, yeah, I think he's more of like the punch a wall, slam a door, be unpredictable kind, and she's more of the push you, slap you kind. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen at least one couple or two in our lives, I'm sure, that you're just around them and they're just always fighting. And yet you look back and you're like, damn, you guys have been together for like 4 or 5 years. And you realize, wow, I've been witnessing the last 2 or 3 years the same thing. They just, it's almost like they feed off that negative energy, or they feed off of the, like the quote unquote makeup sex, or the getting.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that feeling of like, when you when you get into a fight with your loved one and then you make up, you get that like rush of like love, and you feel like stronger together. It's like you like been through something together. But then if you just keep on doing it. But
you end up with 2 defamation lawsuits.
Well, and if you're both multimillionaires, then it turns to this, you know.
Dude, and like, to speak on the makeup sex, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's in one of the videos that we have lined up that we're gonna go over, but you know, the when they were reading the text and it was like, my throat is yours and all of that shit. Clearly they have a very
they get off on it for sure,
and potentially aggressive sexual relationship. So, and that's not to say it justifies anyone laying their hands on anyone, but it's like that clearly they have a predisposition towards enjoying chaos,
and that's why they stayed together through all this. A bunch of, you know, it spanned a long time.
Yeah, could you imagine the passion when they both met? When he's like, yeah, you know, I'm Johnny Depp and I like to fuck throats and tie people up. And she's like, shit, I love to get my throat fucked and get tied up. Like, I'm pretty sure, you know, that was a contributing factor.
Yeah. No, for sure. I'm not saying one side is definitely in the wrong and the other side isn't. They're both, their personalities definitely set this up, you know?
100%, absolutely.
And then they both allowed it to continue. Like, obviously, say like if one of us was with a girl just like her, the same type, as soon as she started showing signs of what she was doing to him, it would just be done, you know? Whereas he took it and maybe retaliated, she liked it, then they got together, make up sex, and then it just was on this pattern. It kept on probably going up and higher, you know?
Yeah. It's a cycle. It's another it's also another drug. I mean, Johnny Depp historically, you know,
he talks about his drug,
has all sorts of drug addictions, right? So like, this is just another situation. Like, oh, it's crazy. Like, oh man, where can I get this crazy? Like, oh, I gotta ride that high. You know, like it's the same type of feeling. But I want to go back to what you said. If either one of us were in a relationship with a girl like her, like I'd put up with it for a little while.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, especially like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, if she, I would tell her to dress just like she did in Aquaman, and with the red hair. That would be it right there. But still, at the end of the day, it would get over. Like after, I don't know how, but
of course it would. Of course it would. You know where I first saw her? Because, like I said, I haven't seen Aquaman, but I have seen her in a couple other movies. Like I've seen her in Pineapple Express, and then as we just talked about before we started this video, like apparently she was the zombie at the beginning of Zombieland. But the movie I first saw her in, and I think we talked about it. You haven't seen it. Is Never Back Down. Did you ever watch that movie?
No, I never heard of it. No.
It's amazing to me you haven't watched that because you fucking love MMA and all that shit. But it's literally an MMA movie, but like kind of a like little bit of a teen melodrama kind of MMA movie.
You know, I've never actually seen any MMA movie, even though I'm a diehard MMA fan, UFC, all that stuff. But I don't know, just never seen.
Well, check that money out so she can get some residuals to help pay that $50 million.
Yeah.
Dude, that when I first saw her, I was like, damn, like she is, despite all things, she's a very attractive woman.
Yep. All right. Well, let's get into some clips so we can actually witness for ourselves.
Yeah. So, this is basically just the audio, kind of her admission
of her actually hitting him. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a listen. I haven't heard this yet, so.
I said to you, hey, tell Travis what just happened.
You told me to do it. You told me to. You said, go do that.
I said, no, tell him what just happened.
And I lied.
And that you punched me in the
You're right.
fucking thing. And
You figured it out.
And you said, no, fuck that. No, I didn't. What the fuck are you talking about? And I watched you lie. And then
I didn't punch you, by the way. I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
Don't tell me what it feels like to be punched.
You know, you've been in a lot of fights, been around a long time. I know. Yeah.
No, when you fucking have a close
You didn't get punched. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not fucking deck you. I fucking was hitting you. I don't know what the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
How are you?
What am I supposed to do? Do this? I'm not sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are. That's the difference between me and you. You're a fucking baby. You are such a
Jesus
baby.
Christ.
Grow the fuck up,
Did you
Johnny.
start physical fights?
I did start a physical fight.
Yeah, you did, so I had
Because-
to get the fuck out of it.
Yes, you did.
There you go.
did the right thing.
Yeah.
The big thing. You know what? You are admirable.
That is, you can cut it off there.
Yeah.
So,
God, I just picture them like that is like literally every other night. I guarantee it, dude. That just the way they're like they're arguing and then they switch right to just talking and then they go back to man, I don't know.
yeah. Dude, so, do you know the difference between the definition of a hit and a punch?
A punch is just a defined hit. A hit is like a general. Like a smack is a type of hit. A punch is a type of hit.
That's what I would think. So, like,
Yeah.
effectively, when we're talking about beating somebody, Chris, tell me, does it seem to make much of a difference to you if I close my fist, open my hand, hit you with my elbow, bump you with my fucking forearm?
Yeah.
You? Does it really fucking make a difference?
Well, apparently
If my
he didn't get
fist
hurt.
closed?
He didn't get hurt, so it doesn't count. Apparently,
Yeah,
if
so
you don't
fuck
get
you,
hurt, then
No, Chris, he's a fucking baby.
yeah.
I love that she's like, yeah, of course I hit you. Stop being a fucking baby. Also, I'm not the problem.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Like
Yeah.
how disconnected can you be to like openly say those things, but then somewhere inside of you, there's this disconnect between what you're actually saying and admitting to and acknowledging and what you're clearly actually doing. Like, how do you dissociate those two things?
Yeah, and also let's reverse it. What if the roles were reversed? How would everyone be feeling right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he came out and said,
it's-
I didn't punch you, I didn't close my fist and punch, I hit you, and you're okay, you're not a baby, or you are a baby, you know what I mean?
Jesus. Could you imagine? He's like, all I did was bitch slap you. Like, it wasn't a hit though.
Yeah.
See, this is the back of my hand.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, well, I don't know, man. That is absolutely just wild to me that there's this, you know, in her mind, this distinction that's somehow relevant or important. That all I did was I hit you. I didn't punch you. What do they call? I mean, you could say, like, let's say we were judging UFC, right? They could be like, oh, he landed a punch, or oh, he landed a hit, or like, I mean,
Yeah.
Are they beating the shit out of each other any less?
Yeah. All right, let's get to some other crazy things here.
Okay.
Just reading this.
It really was.
This came out of nowhere when I saw this initially. I'm like, wait, what?
I wanna mention something because they're gonna talk about it a little bit, but I gotta say so. So this was so funny. So where's it at? So in the case against the son, he testified that he laughed at first when he learned about the poop in the bed, like that kind of like laugh out of like, okay, of course that happened.
Yeah, he talks about it right here. He says how he laughs because he had nothing else. Like he had no other reaction.
But apparently they were already split when this happened.
Yeah, he left.
Was out of town. Like,
no,
so
he left. He left. I think.
Yeah, well, she was out of town and he was coming back to the house.
Yeah.
But and he's the one that actually called her Amber Turd, which is just fucking phenomenal.
All right, let's watch a few of these here.
Yeah,
Photograph
for sure.
of the bed, our bed, and on my side of the bed was human fecal matter. So I understood why it wasn't a good time to go down there.
Even
My
he's
initial
like, this is
response
fucking
to that
ridiculous.
was, I mean, I laughed. It was so outside. It was so bizarre and so grotesque
I can't imagine.
that I could only laugh. She threw the large bottle.
Pause it real quick. So, this is one of the things I do want to touch on too, though, is like when you're watching this man tell a story, you are enamored.
Yo, his voice is fucking amazing. Like the way he's talking and shit. Like
it's so good. It's the perfect voice for storytelling. I mean, obviously he's familiar with this, right? This is what he does. You know?
Yeah.
But
who knows what he actually really sounds like? He's one of the greatest actors ever, you know. So I mean.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so interesting because I'm telling you, like, he's a good enough actor. The polygraph, the audience, the jury, nobody's gonna know if he's lying.
No.
Like, how are you gonna have any? The only time you can tell he's lying is if he's not going to answer a question directly. You go, okay, maybe this is a lie, or maybe this is at least misleading. But outside of that, I could watch him all day.
Yeah. All right. This is pretty crazy too.
And it made contact and shattered.
She threw a vodka
everywhere.
bottle at him, which is insane.
And I honestly didn't feel the pain at first at all. I felt no pain whatsoever. And then I looked down and realized that the tip of my finger had been severed. So we went to the emergency room. The doctor asked me what happened, and I lied to him. I said that I had smashed it in these large accordion doors.
Why would you lie about that?
I didn't want to disclose that it had been misheard, that it had thrown a vodka bottle at me and then took
That's
my finger
insane.
off. I didn't want to get her in trouble.
And the night before you were due to meet
I really want to know what I would love to have that validated one way or another, you know? Because it's like, first of all, it's fucking insane that part of this is that his finger got chopped off.
Yeah.
You know? But, because I think her side of that is like, he punched a wall or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, how does your finger sever if you punch a wall?
Yeah, because it's especially the tip. It's curled in, like your middle finger is protected. So
unless he like open hand slapped a wall that was holding the sharpest knife in the world, and he did it as hard
maybe
as
he
anybody ever could.
Hey, if you karate chop, because your middle finger sticks out further, dude. She fucked up. She should have said he was practicing karate. He karate chopped and it severed off. That would make sense.
Everybody would believe that shit.
Hell yeah, karate's cool.
Like, we already think like, not that he's crazy, but we already think he's quirky, weird, right?
Yeah.
So if we're just like, yeah, like he doesn't hit people, he karate chops. If she was like, he karate chopped me everywhere, I'd be like, yeah, that fucker did that. That's too specific.
Yeah, who's gonna make that up as a lie?
He just walks around karate chopping people on set, and I just couldn't be around it, so I had to get out. You're like, yeah, that's Johnny Depp. It's crazy. But yeah, dude, like his finger, like that's wild. I mean, I'm sure, maybe she didn't mean to hit him with the bottle.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe she has that good at aim that she threw it so close, she just fucked up by like 1 tiny millimeter off. You know what I mean?
She used to. Yeah, they were playing a game where it was like, honey, try to chop my finger off, and then we're gonna bang.
Yeah. Maybe.
Oh, man.
This one came out of nowhere, like James Franco, and then I started looking it up, and I saw a bunch of pictures of those two together, and I'm like, oh shit.
You had a heated discussion on the telephone with Miss Heard about what was happening with James Franco, the scene she was doing with James Franco. Answer, I do not recall, but it is highly likely. Did I read that right?
You did.
And you suspected that Amber was having an affair with James Franco, correct? That was the reason for your argument.
Yeah, yes.
So that's just crazy. I didn't know about the James Franco thing until today. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, but I do want to, like, it was a bit of like, I mean, we need more context to that. Like, it just says, oh, you suspected she was having an affair. And I think the reason we don't get any additional context to that is because if we did get more context from her lawyers, then it would obviously make her look bad for the cheating. But obviously what the point they're trying to drive home there instead is that, oh, you had motive, to be violent in some way. But, like... I wonder what the truth is to that.
I want to add something to the finger situation. So, I don't. Yeah, exactly. Get ready. Did you know that she dated Elon?
No, I had. No, what?
Yeah, dude, she dated Elon Musk, and apparently the timing of it's. No one knows when exactly it started, but it's starting to look like it started before the divorce. So would it technically been an affair? So after, this is crazy. After after the finger incident, he goes to the ER. She stays in his, I think it's a townhouse or condo or something. But guess who comes over? Fucking Elon Musk comes over, dude. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Also, can you call it the fingering, not the finger incident?
The finger, the finger.
Yeah.
So
after the fingering.
That's why.
So wait. So she was dating Elon Musk, and allegedly it was before they actually got divorced. I mean, maybe they were separated or something. I'm sure that's possible. But
we don't.
Before the actual divorce. So what? What? Wouldn't that have been like huge news or something like that?
But also, Elon is now being called to testify in this trial now.
On whose side?
Oh, Depp wants him to come and testify, or they're calling him in to testify because he wants the actual truth to come out.
Interesting. So, breaking. This is an hour ago. one 3 hours ago and one an hour ago.
Okay.
Elon Musk, James Franco won't testify at Depp Heard trial. I mean, they don't have to, do they?
No,
Like,
no, because it's not
case.
criminal, it's civil, but
Yeah.
they can't be subpoenaed, like they can't have to, but
you'd honestly, you'd be dumb if you were Franco or Musk. You'd be dumb
yeah, you don't want to be
testify in
tied
this case.
into this.
No, and you don't want people like, oh, he took their side, but I took the other person's side, so like,
I just
so
know
now they hate
that he
him.
was asked to. I didn't hear. Obviously, the update just came.
Yeah.
So I was hoping he would. I mean, that would, dude. Can you imagine Elon on it? Oh my God! After he just bought Twitter and then now he's on the trial, like this would be insane.
That guy's too fucking busy to be
I know,
testifying.
But just to
I feel
add
dude,
more to this, it would just get even bigger,
How do you go from, and now I don't know, this is an assumption that I'm about to make, but just based on looking at Elon and like hearing about Elon and Elon talking, I just really don't feel like he's the lay you down, slap you around type. You know what I'm saying?
No, I was reading. So I read an article about them dating, and there's two major factors that ended it. Number one was the long distance, and number two was Elon was getting nothing out of it as far as like he needs someone to mentally satisfy you. Like he needs to be with like an intellectual kind, I guess, or something, where she's hot and everything else, young and all beautiful, all that.
She's probably not stupid or anything like that, but she's not on that fucking like scientific number crunching.
Yeah, dude. If
level,
he's inventing rockets and shit. Can you imagine him coming home and be like, "Babe, I got this new rocket technology," and she's just like just staring at him.
She's like, "I play a merwoman." And he's like, "Babe, that's great for you. I'm gonna go talk to some people from the office."
Yeah. I'm gonna go hang out with Phil. Maybe spend the night. Just talk to him or something.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I can't imagine there's much that she would get out of that either. Like just like assuming what their personalities are a little bit. Like she needs chaos, and I just don't feel like he's gonna give her enough. Like he's too busy fucking actually handling business to be like, yeah, I'm gonna slam some doors and then slam you. Like it's just, I don't know. Like.
Yeah.
Not really the vibe I get. I could be wrong, though. He could be an absolute freak. But I think my read on the situation is correct.
Yeah. But anyways, they were together for not a very long time, but enough where they were going to call him in. But I guess so he's not coming, so damn it. Now, this video really pisses me off because I've seen scenarios like this before in other big trials and stuff where... So what's happening here is, I think in the background, Amber has set Depp off, and then she decides to set up I'm guessing a phone to record it. And watch how calm and cool she is, because she's just trying to make him look like the worst monster ever. And she knows she's being recorded, whereas he doesn't. Until I think the end he figures it out, but
just to pose a potential counterpoint, because I do agree there is something massively unfair about recording when people don't know, because also you're putting your own spin on it. So there's definitely a bias even to just the way the video is cut. But I can't tell from the video if they're actually fighting over something together or if there just happens to have been a fight and he's just angry about something else in general, because they do talk about a fight. But he also just seems angry in general, So I think, motive for why he's angry is a little bit in question there.
Yeah. No, the video is completely out of context. You have no idea what was the start of this at all. You have no idea.
And I agree. She's prodding at him in a way that makes it seem on video like she's trying to get him to calm down so they can just talk about it because he's being unreasonable.
But the way she's talking is just pissing him off even more too. She knows exactly how to talk. She knows what she's doing here. And it's pissing me off just talking about it.
It's pissing me off. All right, let's see it.
All right. I mean, look at this shit. Get the fuck out of here.
Very impartial. I gotta say though, he looks really stupid kicking that shit.
I know. I like his cowboy hat though, you know?
Oh yeah, dude. You gotta be dressed to the nines in your house. Fuck that.
Come on, Depp. You gotta break these. You gotta break these if you're mad, dude. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
hold on. Okay, he broke something.
Okay.
He broke something. It's
You in here?
No.
So then nothing happened to you this morning?
Yeah, you're right. I just woke up and you were so sweet and nice. We were not even fighting this morning. All I did was say sorry.
Did something happen to you this morning? I don't think so.
Jesus.
You wanna see Paige?
He's so drunk.
oh my god. Look at that pour.
You're crazy.
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
I'll take one.
You got this going? You got this going?
Just started it.
Oh, really? Really?
This is a tough camera. It survives.
Probably just a modern phone.
This is at your house in West Hollywood on Sweetser Avenue, correct?
That's correct.
And that's you in the video, Mr. Depp, right?
That's correct, sir.
And you would agree that you were violent in that clip, correct?
Clearly I was having a bad time. I don't know what it was with regard to completely at this point, since I don't know the date, but, being illegally recorded by your,
Wife.
chosen other is,
Chosen others?
well, it's quite fitting with the rest of the photographs and tape recordings she made. So I thought what was most interesting is that she tried to hide it from me, and then that she laughed and smiled at the end.
Yep.
I thought that was the most interesting part myself.
Fuck,
But
I
so
don't care
yes,
what that face.
You didn't react
I
to
did
it.
assault
Yeah.
a couple of cabins, but I did not touch Miss Heard.
And
As you can see, I think. No?
Yeah, so I gotta say one thing about this is, and it's hard for me to say because I don't, you know, I'm not personally familiar with domestic abuse, but when somebody is abusive like that and has like a consistent slew of abusive tendencies, and they're really angry and they're drunk and they're actually starting to smash things. When he saw that camera, he goes for the camera, not her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just like I don't know. I would think his tendency would be more along the lines of, I gotta go for her. You know?
Yeah, especially when you're that pissed off and possibly drunk. You're not thinking logically.
Yeah, and then that phone and that video, because he found out, would have never fucking seen the light of day. So I don't know that like, I agree that like the smirk, like the kind of smirk and like laugh or whatever, to me is more telling than anything.
Yeah. No, it was an evil move for sure. Because he technically
But that-
he was doing nothing to her. Like, he owns all that property. He can destroy that if he's mad. It's not hurting anybody. Glass was, I mean, well, he did shatter a glass, but she didn't jump at all, so nothing flew over, you know?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, right? Should he be doing that? No. Is it a bad look? Yeah. Is it scary to your partner? Absolutely. Is it violent? Totally. But like, is it abuse?
No. To those cabinets,
really.
yes, that's the only abuse that was happening.
Yeah. But it's just really, I don't know. Yeah, that whole thing, like, that's why I said, you know, I think he's the type that's aggressive towards things, and she's the type that's aggressive towards people. So not violent towards things, violent towards people. because you can be aggressive towards anything. So I don't know, man. This is a really interesting.
All right, well, let's play one last clip, which is hilarious, but it's all about her dumbass lawyer.
Oh yeah.
And we'll end it there.
And you had interaction with Debbie Lloyd when you were in the house, correct?
Yes, briefly.
This guy's struggling.
And isn't it true that in the entire time you were there,
He sounds shaky
you were
in
not
this clip.
informed as to what caused damage to Mr. Depp's finger on March 8th?
Objection, hearsay.
I'm asking what he wasn't told.
Sustain the objection. Next question.
You didn't know what could cause damage to Mr. Depp's hand while you were there on March 8th, correct?
Dr. Kipper told me he sustained an injury on one of his
Well,
fingers.
objection, hearsay.
Wait, you have
Oh.
Oh,
Injury to his finger.
okay.
Yeah.
Dude, oh
You know
my
what-
god.
This guy just
he says
objected to his own question.
Dude, he says it like it's such a knee-jerk reaction. Like he's like, okay, I asked this question, and I want him to make statements that maybe are hearsay or whatever because it's in response to this question or whatever the case is. But it's like he's just so ingrained where he's like, I have to say this right now, but he doesn't even realize it's his own question. He sounds, and I don't know why, because in other parts of the trial he doesn't sound like this. He sounds shaky and scared and nervous in this clip, does he not?
Yeah, I agree. Sorry for not showing it, but it was just an audio thing anyway, so.
Yeah, it's really...
But yeah, no, and what the way he's like fumbling around with his paperwork, like he's completely lost. And then, you know, he doesn't like his own question.
Okay. So good. Yeah, dude. Honestly, I don't know that he's actually going to win the case, like, for defamation, because the case isn't necessarily who was abusive to who, really. It's just...
No, you're just trying to prove that she's at fault for you losing everything, and, you know.
And she can't actually prove what it is that she claimed, you know. So that's for sure. There's also going to be kind of semantics arguing about, like, well, does the article actually make these allegations at all? Like, all of that's going to come up. So, you know, I think suffice to say we'll have more to say on this in the future, maybe on the podcast, maybe in another video.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll dedicate a whole video to it, depending on if something crazy happens, but I think we've seen most of the craziness, I believe. But yeah, it might be a podcast. The rest might end up just being on a podcast, I believe.
Yeah. So, but all right.
Well, that was good.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think about which side you're on, or do you think she's crazy, he's crazy, they're both crazy?
Yeah, give us all your hot takes and everything, and you know, let us know what you want to see more of.
Thanks everyone for watching Pelican and the Bear. Remember to like and subscribe.
Or dislike, and don't subscribe. Whatever you do, be sure to leave a comment. Nobody's going to read it anyway.